The night shift. I need to tell you about the 6 weeks I spent working graveyard security at Callahan's Storage and Freight, because I don't think I'll ever be able to tell it out loud without my voice shaking. I've written it down instead. Maybe that's cowardice. Maybe it's the only way I can get through it at all. The job posting said, overnight security monitor, warehouse facility, minimal contact required. I was 26, broke, 3 months behind on rent, and minimal contact sounded perfect. I didn't like people much back then. I liked the idea of sitting alone in a booth for 8 hours, watching a bank of monitors, getting paid to exist quietly. So I took it. Callahan Storage sat at the edge of an industrial park, the kind of place that looked abandoned even when it wasn't. 11 acres of corrugated steel warehouses, mostly used for long-haul freight overflow and cold storage. My booth was a converted shipping container near the front gate, with a space heater, a coffee maker that only worked half the time, and a wall of 12 monitors showing feeds from cameras scattered across the property. The manager who trained me, a tired man named Deshaun, walked me through the basics in about 20 minutes. Check the gate log, walk the perimeter twice a night, note anything unusual in the logbook. Simple. One more thing, he said, already halfway out the door. Warehouse 9. Don't go in there after dark. Nobody does. Why not? It's just policy, he said, not looking at me. Cold storage unit, mostly empty, but the flooring's bad in a couple spots. Insurance thing. Just don't go in. I believed him. Why wouldn't I? The first 2 weeks were exactly what I wanted. Quiet. I read books during the slow hours, walked my rounds, drank bad coffee, and watched the sun come up over the freight yard like a small daily miracle. Warehouse 9 sat at the far end of the lot, a squat gray building with no windows and a single loading door, and I genuinely never thought about it. It was just another shape on the monitors. It was the start of week 3 when I noticed the light. I was doing my 2 a.m. round, walking the fence line with my flashlight, when I glanced toward 9 out of habit and saw a thin seam of orange glow along the base of the loading door, like something was lit up inside. I stood there a minute, confused, because Deshaun had told me the power to 9 had been cut 2 years ago when the cold storage unit failed. There shouldn't have been anything to light up. I didn't go check. I want you to know that. I remembered what I'd been told, and I went back to the booth, and I noted it in the log. Unusual light, Warehouse 9, 2:14 a.m. Then I looked at the monitor feed for 9's exterior camera. The image was grainy, the way all the night feeds were, but there was no light on the camera. Nothing at all. Just the dark shape of the building against a slightly less dark sky. I told myself I'd imagined it. Trick of the eye. Flashlight glare. 3 nights later, I saw it again, and this time I didn't imagine anything. It wasn't a light exactly. It was more like the darkness near the base of that door had a different texture than the darkness around it. A kind of movement, slow, like something breathing behind cloth. I stayed away from 9 after that. I started timing my rounds so I'd pass it quickly. Flashlight forward, eyes forward, humming to myself the way you do when you're 8 years old and convinced something's behind you on the stairs. Then, in the 4th week, Warehouse 9 started appearing on the wrong cameras. I want to explain this carefully because I've gone over it in my head 100 times since, trying to find the version of it that makes sense, and there isn't one. The monitors were fixed feeds. Camera 3 pointed at the east fence. Camera 7 covered the loading dock behind Building 4, a quarter mile from 9, completely out of its line of sight. There was no possible angle from which 9 should have appeared on that feed. At 3:47 a.m. on a Tuesday, it did anyway. I was half asleep, coffee gone cold, when something made me look up at camera 7, and there it was. Small in the frame, distant, wrong, but unmistakably Warehouse 9's loading door, gray and windowless, sitting where the fence line should have been. And the door was open. Not fully, just a crack. Just enough for black. I actually laughed. That's the part I'm least proud of. I laughed, a short, ugly sound because my brain didn't have anywhere else to put what I was looking at. Then I toggled back to the correct camera for Building 4's loading dock, and it showed the loading dock. Completely normal. No Warehouse 9 anywhere near it. I flipped back to 7. He told me one more thing before he left, and I don't think he meant to. "The guy before you quit after 4 nights," he said. "Guy before him lasted longer, maybe 2 months. He's the one who told me not to look at 9 on the cameras. Said if you see it show up somewhere it shouldn't, you don't watch it. You look away and you don't look back, no matter what. He said it likes being watched." "Where is he now? The guy who told you that?" Deshaun looked at me for a second too long before he answered. "He doesn't work nights anymore." I stayed 2 more weeks after that because I am, apparently, someone who will sit inside, slowly tightening dread if the alternative is not making rent. I got good at not looking. I trained my eyes to slide past camera 7 and camera 3 without registering what was on them, the way you learn not to look directly at a solar eclipse. Twice more, out of the corner of my vision, I caught the gray shape of that door where it didn't belong. Once I thought the crack of black had gotten wider. I didn't check. I looked away the way I'd been told, and I did not look back. The last night, the night I decided I was done regardless of rent, regardless of anything, was the night I heard it on the radio. We had a shared frequency, security radio, mostly silent except for Deshaun's occasional check-ins from the office trailer. At 4 a.m., dead quiet, the radio clicked on with that soft, static hiss that means someone's holding the button down without speaking. I said, "Go ahead," out of habit. Nothing. Just the static. Breathing almost, in and out, like someone matching their exhale to the open channel. Then a voice, very quiet, very close to the microphone, said, "You can look now." It wasn't Deshaun's voice. It wasn't anyone's voice I recognized. It didn't sound entirely like it was built for saying words, if that makes any sense, like something that had learned speech by listening rather than by speaking it itself. I did not look at camera 7. I did not look at camera 3. I put the radio down, walked out of that shipping container into the cold gravel lot, and I did not stop walking until I reached my car at the far end of the employee lot, and I did not look back at the warehouses behind me. Not once, no matter how badly some old animal part of my brain wanted to check what was following the sound of my footsteps across the gravel. I never went back for my final paycheck. I never called Deshaun again, and he never called me. I looked up Callahan Storage and Freight online about a year later, half hoping to find some explanation, some old news story about the property, anything that would let me file the whole thing away as something with a shape and a reason. I found a listing instead. The facility had changed ownership, new management. A note in the description mentioned that Warehouse 9 had been permanently sealed and was excluded from the property's usable square footage. I think about that phrase sometimes. Excluded from the property's usable square footage, like whatever's in there simply isn't counted anymore. Like someone, somewhere, made a very careful decision to stop measuring it and hoped that would be enough. I don't work nights anymore, either.